Yeah.
Hey, 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 Sharpies. How are you doing? I'm Tom Cunningham.
I'm Joy Stevens. You know, no, I'm not. I'm not Joy Stevens.
What are you over it? What
I'm
are you?
so over it. I'm tired. That's who I am today. I'm tired. I'm just
She's
so
so tired.
tired. I'm so tired. Ugh. But I'm gonna
That
do better.
is for those of the uninitiated to the incomparable brilliance of Mel Brooks. That is from Blazing Saddles,
Mhm.
and
Natalie Kahn.
Madeline Kahn lost way before her time.
Yeah, she
An
is great.
epic talent playing Lily von Stoop, who was there to seduce. She was the Teutonic Titwillow who was
Thank
there to seduce
you.
uh, Sheriff Bart,
Mhm.
and she was unsuccessful because of his Schnitzelgruben uh, that, that he dropped on her. So we are here, Anthony, of course, first up in the chat, and
Mhm.
he has dropped a lot. Oh,
Agreed. Anthony wanted y'all to know he was here first today. First and only right
first,
now. So whoever else
and,
is watching, first, second, and third are already taken by
and
Anthony.
filth, filth,
Yeah.
filth.
Well,
One, two, three,
actually, it
four,
is first through fifth
filth.
comments are all Anthony to let y'all know I am here. And
He,
we appreciate you. We very much appreciate you.
he am be
Wow.
here. Welcome to the folks who are just now joining us. We're kind of spinning our wheels a little bit just to let a few folks get into the pod before we start
Mhm.
getting down to brass tacks. But you can credit Joy with the title of this week's episode. I think it is appropriate. And Joy, why don't you tell the folks how you came up with it? And I want you to notice this is the sort of effort that we put into our podcastery. This is an orange orangutan in somewhat with reddish fur representing the GOP and a blue Biden bonobo in front of a circus tent that looks very dilapidated. And if you look on the left-hand side near the Trump orangutan, it kind of looks like maybe he threw his scat onto the side of the circus tent.
Mhm.
These are the
There's
legs.
actually a barrel, a wheelbarrow, something beside the Biden um, uh,
Yeah, it's
monkey.
like a little
And
wagon
yeah,
or
go back
something.
to it because it kind of, if you look at it, it could be a wheelchair.
A
It could be.
wheelchair. Listen, I put effort into making these things happen
Hmm.
with the assistance of AI. So
Yeah.
thank you, Photoshop.
I'm gonna tell you why we picked that, or why I picked that as the symbol for today's show. Because when I answered and I said I'm tired and I'm just over it, I'm over it. I am so irritated by every faction of voters. Of course, I'm done with the people who are supporting Trump no matter what. And there's some of us in there. We're gonna talk about them folks later. But I'm also done with the people who are shut up and just vote, because that is not a winning campaign strategy.
No.
Strategy. don't know what strategy it came from. It's not a winning campaign strategy. Then you have the people that are like, well, I mean, they bad on both sides, so I might as well not vote. You're doing it wrong too. Then you got the folks that are like, not my monkey, not my circus, not my monkeys. This ain't my problem. That's somebody else, blah, 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 blah. You live here though. And this election is going to affect every single person that lives in the United States. And unless you are in the top half of the 1% at this point, it's not even 1%ers anymore. You got to be in the top 0.05, right? Or 0.5% to have it benefit you positively. Everybody else is about to catch hands and they act like they don't know what's happening. And I understand now, and this is going to be a terrible reference because it is very hard for anyone to reference the situation or reference the Holocaust without it sounding anti-Semitic or having it sounding like you don't understand what they went through. But I understand now, as I feel that we may be living through something similar, I understand how Hitler came to power. It wasn't just all of a sudden he rolled up with a bunch of military people and said, we taking over. It was a slow relinquishing of freedom, relinquishing of power, and support of fascism as long as it was on your side. And then you discovered that it wasn't on your side when it got in there. And then it made you do some crazy things. All of this is happening right now. But there are so many people that are like, I mean, it's whatever. It's not.
It's not.
It's not. And I'm sick of people saying that, well, it's just 4 years. You saw what happened in 2020, right? I mean, you saw what happened in 2016.
Right.
Right. Think of the whole of the COVID pandemic was in less than 4 years. And so I'm getting tired of seeming like I'm the only one that sees what's coming. And I know we all do, but the people that watch this show, small. As much as I love this show, as much as I appreciate the growing audience, it's not enough.
And I think it is possible to sidestep the Hitler conversation without getting all the way to the Holocaust.
Mm-hmm.
And as Shay brings up that in the Ava DuVernay movie Origin, which was based on the book Caste, she brings to light, the main character portrayed by Anjanou Ellis, brings to light the fact that when the Nazis were trying to figure out what they were going to and how they were going to shape their final solution, they looked at America's Jim Crow laws.
And they were like, oh, that's interesting.
It wasn't like something that they just came up with. They said, oh, look at what the Amerikaners are doing. And so
all they did was escalate the situation.
Exactly.
Instead
and
of random
in 20 years,
what
took so much longer. And so, 20 into World War II, but I mean, they had 10 years, I guess, because the late 20s, blah, blah, blah. So the point is that we are not for some people who would say we are not at the concentration camp phase, please, and we're going to get into this a little bit more in Project 2025, what do you think deportation camps are?
Yeah.
What
do you think they do with people who cannot be deported because they don't know where they come from and they don't have anywhere for them to go? They're not keeping good. They can't even keep up with a kid who's holding on to his mother's hand at the border. They can't keep up with them. What makes you think they're going to keep up with millions of people that they just decide, and the decisions are going to be random, decide you need to be deported? Also remember that the concentration camp started as a prison for political enemies. It did not start. I'm not in any way trying to diminish the horrors that happened there, but it started as a prison for political enemies. And isn't that what Trump said he wanted to do? But there's still people out there saying, well, but Biden is old, so is Trump.
Exactly.
I cannot understand people that support any part of what's happening there unless you feel like you're going to come out winning on the other end. And what so many folks fail to understand, and a certain section of poor white America has never tried to understand any differently, they ain't talking about you. You are not who they're talking about winning. You're not winning. They're building it on your backs. And when y'all get rid of all the Black people and all the Hispanic and all the other people of color, guess who the slaves are going to be? You worried about Obama putting you in bondage. Your own people going to do it, just like they did you before. Y'all been
And
here before too. And I can't see why nobody can see this. I'm tired.
first of all, just to piggyback off of that point, Joy, he already said black jobs. What you think them black jobs are? When he says they're taking Hispanic jobs and black jobs, he's not talking about the black
Architecture.
CEOs. He's not talking about the
That's
black
great.
executives. He's not even really talking about the black MBA, because you don't have Hispanic or immigrants coming in and taking those jobs on force. So he's talking about what he considers to be menial labor. And in his mind, menial labor is black and brown labor. So, you know what? I wanted to kind of, I didn't want to lead off on Project 2025, and I'm not sure that I do right now. I think I want to do something a little bit lighter. So I'm going to introduce a segment that I'm calling The Shittiest Batman Has Opinions. So guess who popped out and wanted to show Dems? It was George Clooney. And George Clooney proclaims that he loves Biden, but it's time for a new nominee. Sir, your Batman costume had nipples.
You know
what
what?
are we talking about?
Here's the thing, though. He ain't alone. I thought the same thing. I really did. I've waffled back and forth. I'm not going to pretend that I was always correct in my thinking. But remember when we were doing that live broadcast of the live broadcast during the debate, my first thought was when he started fumbling at the end, mind you, I just fumbled just now. It's easy to do. But when he fumbled at the end, I was like, shit, because I could see everything falling to pieces. He had to stick the landing, and he didn't.
He didn't. He didn't. And we're going to be bringing in a guest. Jermaine Taylor is going to be joining us today for the balance of the program. But what I will say before we bring him on is that, folks, a couple of things. It's not just Biden. It's the Biden-Harris administration. Okay? It's a package deal. There's all these cabinet folks. There's all these career politicians. One person does not make this country run. It takes thousands and thousands and thousands of people, both elected and appointed and hired, to run this country. What Biden has is the infrastructure of people who are committed to preserving the democracy. What Trump has literally told you, is that he's going to fire everybody and appoint Trump clones, Trump mini-me's. That's his plan. And if you liked anything about what Biden has done, you must
like them school loans,
those school loans that
like
a
the
bunch
additional
of people
jobs that he's
anymore.
actually created.
Yeah, you young people, these jobs he's created, do be aware that what Trump has promised to do in Project 2025, which I think we might as well segue into because Jermaine's about to come on, he has promised to basically eliminate your auntie's federal job. You talk about black unemployment. What do you think is going to happen when career civil servants get the axe? Because he wants to install Trump cronies and loyalists who don't have any concern over norms of government, norms of civics, nothing like that. A DOJ, which is going to become FBS, the Gestapo, KGB. That's what he's promising. Because that's what you want. So let's get Jermaine into the conversation. Jermaine is joining us again from his iPhone that he has in portrait mode instead of in landscape mode.
I literally just ran into this room, and this is the best I can do at the time that I had allotted.
Okay, can you turn your phone on its side though? Can you do that?
I was trying that, and it wasn't rotating. You
probably have rotate lock on, homie.
No, I don't. I don't really have time. I don't want to mess up everything. You guys just
You're fine. It's
fine.
It's fine. You're good.
I'll fix it. But today I'm just I was running. Y'all understand?
Yeah. We're glad to see you. One other thing I will say: use your theater voice because you're coming in a little, and so don't be afraid to just belt it out. But
you want
looking
me to
good, my friend.
Like this.
Yes.
Okay,
well, you need to be closer to your phone.
Seriously, I wasn't set up to do this today because I didn't think I was going to jump on. So I literally ran here and just did everything like in 10 minutes.
You're good. You're good.
Yeah,
What
this
about that?
this
Is
is
that
fine.
better?
Mhm.
Yes. So
So,
we're talking.
Anthony says, "Hi,
Hey,
Jermaine. We missed
Anthony,
you."
I missed you too. We still chat on Facebook. Hi, guys. Hi, everybody. I
Welcome
have
back,
no makeup on. You can see all my lines.
boy. Ain't nobody worried about it.
So we're talking about Project 2025, something apparently that Donald Trump knows nothing about, except that some of it is horrible, and he
Yeah.
doesn't agree with all of it. But
Abysmal was the word that he used in the tweet.
abysmal.
Mhm.
But he also doesn't know anything about it. But he also wishes them luck. But he doesn't know anything about it, despite the fact that literally the Heritage Foundation, which is the author of this 1,000-page paper, credits it with Donald Trump. So, Project 2025, what's that? What's Project 2025?
He did honestly an amazing job of committing to everything and nothing in the same breath.
Yeah.
And so what happens is, and this is the key to any good con, is you hear what you want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to find some way to reconcile all of the goodness that may be in your heart, I don't know what just happened.
His
All of the goodness that may be in your heart with the evil that he is spouting, you listen to the parts that sound not so bad.
Right.
If you want to be, all 10 toes down on the evil, you listen to the rest of it. But so he can say it's abysmal, and those people that want to support him, it's like, oh, he's not going to support that. He said he would, the same way that he said he wouldn't go after Social Security, but they did, and he's proven to everyone that has ever worked with him, even before he became a political figure, when he was just a real estate asshole, he has continued to prove that he is not trustworthy.
But this to me speaks to the overall arch of Black people and what we will do to a nation if we galvanize. Mind you, that didn't happen until after Taraji P. Henson put Project 2025 on blast.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? When
everybody
she
at
did
the
that
BET Awards was like, what is
Awards,
she talking about?
Exactly. So those are the clues that I look for and lets me know like where we are as a people. When she said what she said at the BET Awards a couple of Sundays ago, all of a sudden Google was saying that they couldn't even keep up with how many times Project 2025 was trending that night and then the day after. So that's when the 911 within that whole MAGA world set off. And I'm pretty sure there were some conversations where he had to like say, listen, how are we going to fix this? And his first inclination is always to what?
Lie.
Exactly. And it just didn't work. It did not. So I was somewhat gratified and I was, affirmed by that because I was like, listen, this is what Black folks can do. Because mind you, 2025 has been out there, Project 2025. But when she put it on blast, all of a sudden it's trending everywhere and it's continuing to trend. Black women lead. Do you hear me? Black women lead.
Wherever we are.
Baby.
But we tired.
Yeah.
I'm going to sell that again. I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted to the point of depression.
Yeah.
Like I've lost all my fucks to give. Like I really do. And I muster up the courage and the energy to fight this little fight every day. And then I sit at home and I'm like, this is bullshit. Like, I think the despair is in that I don't know if it's going to be enough. And when you think about
enough to win this time around, or
enough to get a stay of execution for another 4 years, because that's really the way I'm looking at it. I'm not looking at Biden's eventual win as a victory for democracy. I'm looking at it as 4 more years of this experiment of the United States, because we could be right back in the situation in 2028.
And so you don't tie it all directly to Trump at all. You tie it all to the overall reach of the right. Because I tied
to the long plan. It didn't have to be Trump. It could have been Ted Cruz. And it would have probably turned out similarly. Maybe not the same. You wouldn't have had the drama of it all. You wouldn't have had the distractions that Trump provided so they could pass legislation in the background that nobody was paying attention to. We would have, thank you, Shay. Trump was a means to an end. They needed someone in there that could win and stop the Democrats from their socialism and what have you. But, to like Chan is saying, Project 2025 will just become, that's what I mean about a stay of execution. 2025 becomes Project 2029. Okay, they get another Democrat. Okay, we'll just push it down. Because they've been doing this since they were brought back into the Union in 1865. They have been doing this. They have been trying to rise again. And it wasn't just Southerners, it was everyone that thinks that white people deserve to own this country full out. That's what
But
it's
see,
really
and this
about.
is where I disagree with you. And if I'm talking too much because I'm so excited to be
You're
with you
good.
guys, and I just got a lot on my mind. I feel like right now is the inflection point where they're at right now, and they feel like they have to pounce, go all in, pull out all the stops, or they can't do it ever again. This is their moment because, for one, they know they still have the power. The numbers are steady dwindling, but they still have some sort of an inside connection to get all of this done. They still have the Supreme Court judges. They still have the right people in legislation to just, rubber stamp it. And I feel like that's why it seems like it's on steroids right now, because I feel like this is their last ditch effort, and it'll just weaken as time goes because this country is turning, browner and browner as the years go by. I don't know if I'm just being creative, just optimistic, but that's why I feel like it's going that way.
So I agree with you, Jermaine, but for a slightly different reason. And it's a combination of joy and what Trump represents, and also the absolute challenge that the GOP has in the overall browning of America that you just referenced.
Okay.
There is not another person in the GOP that has Trump's hold on this 30% of the population. It was demonstrated in the off-year elections when Trump wasn't on the ballot, when we were able to get and maintain 2 Democratic senators in the state of Georgia. When Trump was not on the ballot and people in Wisconsin, this Wisconsin Supreme Court flipped to a progressive majority, wins in Pennsylvania, all of these swing states that didn't have Trump's energy behind the ballot, the GOP turnout was depressed, and Democrats were able to make incremental small gains. The challenge that Project 2025 has is that you've got to have somebody who actually is dumb enough not to care about what this means. And Trump is uniquely stupid and uniquely disinterested in the actual state of the country. Nobody else, you talk about Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz couldn't win against Trump. Ted Cruz is in the fight of his political life right now against a black man in Texas.
Yeah.
It's Trump. It's Project 2020 Trump. Don't get it confused. Trump is not going to be able to run in 2028. The same problems that they are saying about Joe Biden, if he loses twice in a row, there is not going to be a third bite at the apple because he will be too old. He's already confused and already talking about the late great Hannibal Lecter and all this other sort of stuff. He's
sharks.
He's 2 legs off of his 2
reality
legs.
from fiction. Yeah.
So I am concerned about the state of the country. I do agree that people like Stephen Miller, that people like the Heritage Foundation, like the rise of neo-Nazism, all of these things. Lauren Boebert isn't going anywhere, and neither is Marjorie Taylor Greene. This is a terminal position for them. And Jim Jordan isn't going anywhere. Comer isn't going anywhere. Mitch McConnell isn't going anywhere. None of these lights of the GOP are going anywhere. Trump is carrying them. You've got some people who may have a chance, but it's not. You can only be Trump crazy if you're Trump. For that seat, for the White House, not for congressional districts, but for the White House, only Trump can be that stupid. And crazy.
I hear you both, and I do believe that they have a. I think Shay said it was like it was an unexpected boom. Where did she put that? Trump's celebrity and popularity was an unforeseen boom for the T. Thuglican Project 2025. I love T. Thuglican. But I think that it's a unique situation. I do agree with you, Jermaine, that this is their best shot. I just don't think this is their only shot because the Proud Boys are in their 30s. The people who marched on Charlottesville were millennials. Like we always thought, oh, the old racists will die off, but they are not. They are reinvigorating. They are bringing back neo-Nazis is more bigger than it's been since the end of World War II. So the forces that are there, the forces that are there to promote white supremacy and everything that goes along with it to put women back in the kitchen, to stop women from having reproductive rights, to eliminate any sort of protections for marginalized people in the sense that it's reverse racism or whatever, all of that is still on the table.
Mhm.
It's still there. You still have large swaths of the United States, and sometimes they're picking up steam, even amongst Black and brown people that believe that this is true, that they're losing to some mythical other person that is taking all their jobs, taking their wives, whatever, whatever. And to your point about the majority being white and the browning of America, remember, once upon a time, Jews were not white, Italians were not white, Irish were not white. And when they needed the numbers, they changed the demographic.
Exactly.
You think they won't start picking up half like mixed kids? All of a sudden, hey, guess what? You can be white, or the closer to Spanish population, your immigrants that are coming from Colombia and Brazil or wherever they can pass. I'm just saying it the way I see it. They can assimilate into the United States, or even just blow up in Florida, wherever it is, and start thinking they white, like half of them do already. Then that number shifts again. If they pick up even a third of the Spanish speaking population in the United States, they're back over 65% in America.
But that's an ideology, I think, that is actually going to die, in time. I feel like, people wanting to assume that quote unquote white status because they can pass. I feel like it's even dying already. I don't think it's alive.
It ain't dying in Dominican bodegas. I mean, I think here's I guess my compromise on it.
Mm-hmm.
There are white supremacists and Proud Boys, but they don't have the levers of power. I think the levers of power is the real issue. Yes, we have had racists and we have had domestic terrorists, and we've had all sorts of things throughout the history of our country. And it was certainly more true in the 50s and 60s during the time of segregation, where you had actual members of the White Citizens Council and all these other sorts of things in the levers of power in their local and state governments, and even people like Strom Thurmond rising up to the U.S. Senate. So that part was there. David Duke, I think, was the last person who openly served in office and identified himself specifically and strongly about his racist politics and policies in the way that he did it. There are other people who are doing it today in slightly different ways, slightly more palatable ways, calling themselves Christian nationalists as opposed to white supremacists and things like that. They're using different code words. And
if you're a Christian nationalist, and what did I hear this morning? And your picture of Jesus got a silk press.
Right. I think the broader issue is we can't solve for 2029 now. What we can solve for now is the election in 2024. And to Joy's point, it is not just a matter of throwing out a platitude. It's a matter of making clear and plain what the absolute consequences are. And so one of the things that I would, one of the things that I would like to announce is that I have the intention, this mandate for leadership is 922 pages. And it is something that I've decided to do, that I'm going to be going through this document and finding out and sharing in TikTokable length segments the absolute horrors that exist. Because Black folks, y'all need to understand, if you are a veteran, you need to know what Project 2025 says about you and your benefits. If you are on Social Security, not just Black old people, all old people. If you are old, if you are as old as Trump, you need to know what Project 2025 says about you and your life. And
if you're a woman,
in Project 2020 Gilead, you need to understand what it means for you, handmaid. So that's where we are. That is what he is scared of. Trump is scared that Taraji has opened up a trove of emails that she's going to use to cudgel. And Joy, you made a point where we have a whole segment about Black folks who are acting like they ain't got no sense. But this is the real way forward as far as Black people are concerned. And as far as it should be about what young people are concerned, because Project 2025 doesn't care about your air or water. They don't care about food safety. They don't care about any, for your babies, the babies that you are going to have. They don't care about you receiving proper prenatal or postnatal care. All they want to
They don't
do.
care about lead paint.
It is 1984, people. It's INGSOC. Not even INGSOC, because INGSOC is short for English Socialism, and they'd never go for that. So it's INGFASH. So this is where we are. This is what Project 2025 is. Unabashed, unvarnished fascism forever.
Yeah.
It might as well be 2020 infinity. That's what they want for this country. Go
Because
look
once
at
you have a
Manhattan High
fascist
Capitol.
dictator in place, you have to overthrow
Yeah.
the government.
Yeah.
You have
And
to.
and unfortunately, too many of the militias that have regulated themselves out there in the wilderness are too worried about, what brother is coming to bang their daughter, sister, nephew, that they don't even really think about the bigger picture.
You said daughter, sister, nephew.
I miss y'all. That's
Híjole.
funny.
So, Project 2025 our audience is a good audience. I'd like to invite our audience. We would love for, people like Chan and Shay and Anthony, James Herndon, all of you who want to do something, use your own platforms in your reach. I have followers on Facebook, and I am going to be posting these videos. It'll also, I guess, go to the Instagram and maybe some other places. I'm not exactly sure. But by talking about Project 2025, we have heard that only the Democrats use scare tactics in order to advance their agendas. That's bullshit. The GOP is basically only using scare tactics. But this isn't scare tactics. This is a promise. This is what they're telling you in 922
a $22 million invested promise.
Not
Can you
not
imagine
text, not
$22 million?
tweets. They got the long form. This is what it is, and it's amazing to me that they dropped it, because they don't have a majority in this country. They really don't. The last election proved that they don't have the majority, and yet they dropped this anyway because they feel that this is their best opportunity.
And you know what? That brings me to out of order, but you say they don't have the majority in this country. That brings me to another section that we want to talk about. I am so over yo cousins.
Your cousins.
Yo cousins.
Yo cousins.
Because
Not our cousins.
What are they doing?
These nigglets out here in the street. Matter of fact, I pulled this clip because we cannot use anything from the Daily Show because we don't want to get sued. But I did pull this screenshot because this was a statistic they put up. Support for Trump among Black voters in October was at 4% of 2020. February of this year, 23%. Yeah. I'm so over your cousins. And they did a segment where they had 6 Black people that they just pulled, and they polled them, and 3 of them are voting for Biden and 3 of them are voting for Trump. And the ones that were voting for Trump was like, I hate to say his name, but I'm voting for Trump. Then why are you doing it? And then when was
that conducted though, Joy?
This week. I pulled it from the Daily Show this week.
Okay.
Yeah. Like a couple days
I feel like that's even going to shift in the wake of everything that's going on with Project 20. I feel like that's going to shift.
Well, it was taken after the debate because they used snippets from the debate to compare for people what you thought. So this is less than a week old, right? Okay. And folks were talking about, well, Biden is old and he doesn't know what he's doing, and at least Trump is strong enough to last through his term. Like, what kind of sense does that make? And nobody switched. Which is what we saw with the debate. The debate didn't make any difference to anybody. Right. You're going to vote for Trump then, you're still going to vote for him now. What has switched, though, is this group in the middle, the non-committed folks who are thinking Biden sounded feeble. And we still, in spite of the fact that we left a monarchy and threw some tea in the water to fight against taxes and all that, well, actually, it wasn't really all of it. There's more to the story about the Boston Tea Party, and it's really messed up if you look at the history. Even that was about being racist against Native Americans. But still, we fought against oppression without representation and all these other kind of things just to turn around and try to do the same thing to other people, right? And so the issue that I have with people that say, well, Biden, Trump is not so bad, is he is. They are not the same. And if you give yourself excuses, especially if you're Black, with everything that you, your parents, your grandparents, your ancestors have been through in this country just to get what we have today, for you to, in my opinion, throw that away because you're still in the idea of voting for a king. That's what I meant about, leaving a monarchy just to end up right back where we started. We vote for a king. We vote for him, but we still see him as this deity or, chosen figure that can solve all our problems on a local level. And the Democrats keep pitching, or preaching, you got to be involved with your local elections. You got to look at your mayor and your sheriff and your local judges and your state senate, et cetera, et cetera. But we still look at our king to solve everything. And so it is the health and wellness of the king that determines if people are going to vote for him. And so Biden coming out looking feeble really hurt his chances, because people don't want a weak king. Even though they think they vote for president, they say president, they think king, because we still have that idea in our minds.
Well, also, it doesn't help that House of the Dragon is basically dealing with a Biden figure whose successor is a female who is coming under attack from external forces. Before we bounce off on and continuing on the cousins, I just wanted to close out the Project 2025 thing with a brief examination of their 4 pillars, because they are frightening in their scope. So according to their cover letter, Pillar 1 puts in one place a consensus view of how major federal agencies must be governed, and where disagreement exists, brackets out those differences for the next president to choose the path. Pillar 2, a personnel database that allows candidates to build their own professional profiles and our coalition members to review and voice their recommendations. These recommendations will then be collated and shared with the president-elect's team, greatly streamlining the appointment process. Think about that. Pillar 3, the Presidential Administration Academy, an online educational system taught by experts from our coalition. Newcomers will explain how the governmental functions and how to function in government. For the experience, we will host in-person seminars with advanced training and set the bar for what is expected of senior leadership. Now, they're talking about indoctrination and DEI and CRT. They are literally saying, here are training camps.
Right. We're going to teach you how to be a politician in our
We're going to teach you how to be a fascist.
It's like a big, huge manufacturing.
Okay, and then the last one, Pillar 4, the Capital P Playbook. We are forming agency teams and drafting transition plans to move out upon the president's utterance of "So help me God." Literally, as soon as he has been inaugurated, the last syllable, God, they are going to take a flamethrower to this country. That's what they're
literally
talking
a factory is what they're creating.
They're creating a factory of mindless clones to work themselves to death forever on the promise of a greater life one day.
We don't need no education.
They get to choose who's going to
Wait, hang on. What are you saying, Jermaine?
I said a factory, they get to choose who's going to actually be a part of the factory. You know what I'm saying? It's like everybody can be. Yeah. Oh my God. And
so if you think about it, again, this is why Trump can say, "Oh, I don't believe in this, and I think this is terrible," whatever. But he's going to sign whatever cliff notes they pass across his desk. And if they say, "We vetted these people, they're the best people, they really support you, and these are the folks that you should sign into appoint into judgeships across the country," bet Donald J. whatever he signs. And he won't even read it because he doesn't read.
Do you think?
And I'm not even being,
weak?
Huh?
Do you think they just feel like we're just weak people? Like we're just going to stand by? Like, say, for instance, if he does get.
Aren't we though?
Huh?
His supporters certainly are. His supporters objectively ignore reality.
Just freely just giving up their place in this country. Anything that we fought for. I mean, maybe the older people might just roll over and just let them have their way. But, these young ones with all this vigor, they'll just hand over all of their freedoms to these people just because they can. You think that's honestly what they?
For the promise of a 2-bedroom apartment. Yep.
If that. Don't be. And to your point, Jermaine, The reason they feel this confident is because they're watching the videos of how stupid these supporters are. They are ignoring things that Trump literally says. They are applauding things that Trump says that make no sense. They are yelling for Ted Nugent, who is talking straight nonsense. They are sitting on camera, ignoring truths about Trump because Trump is Big Brother. And that's all they care about. So, of course, they have never cared about these small people except as a means to an end. They are the proletariat. They are the proles in 1984. It doesn't matter because what they know is that at the top of their little coffee clutch, they control everything. And so it doesn't matter. Ministry of Truth, which is organized to telling lies, the Ministry of Peace, which is organized for creating war. All of these things, it doesn't matter. Right now, if they can get this idiot stooge into office, they know that they will be able to transform in less than a generation. They will be able to transform this country into a nightmare.
Before we move on from Project,
economy that is fascist in the history of the world.
Does it detail how this trickles down to the state level? What happened here? Oh yeah, is that you?
That's me.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's artwork from the wall.
Can I do something?
No.
Does it dictate how it trickles down to the state level in this?
It's 922 pages, but this document right now is consumed with the federal and the executive.
Okay. Right.
So, but it's going to, because that includes a plan to appoint judges that will ignore stare decisis and the state and federal constitution.
And the Supreme Court has already gutted Chevron deference. So judges are going to have the final say. There will be no deferring to the doctors or the lawyers. And so the law becomes whatever they want it to be because the judges will have absolute power.
So immediately the states will feel it on that level. Okay.
Yeah.
And Shay, first of all, Shay, we done told you about these long comments, but I'll read it for you for people that can't maybe.
I know.
Poor Jermaine is gone right now, but Project 2025 may not have numbers, but you don't need numbers if you have all the power. Exactly. If you are in the South, and honestly, I would amend and say if you are in America, you see it on the ground every day. Whatever it takes to maintain the white supremacy patriarchy, the foot soldiers will do. Vote, lock up brown and black folks, resegregate schools. That, unfortunately, has been a winning playbook for centuries. Yes, it has. And Chan comes right back. That's why they gave the president immunity for official acts, because in worst case scenario, he can use the military to go after dissenters. And this is how you get a concentration camp on American soil for political prisoners. It turns into a concentration camp for all the pussy hat wearing women, all of the Black Lives Matter hashtag people, which they can trace through all of Meta, right? All they got to do is find out that you ever held a sentiment that felt this way. They freeze your accounts, they take your passport, and they lock you up. Don't think it won't happen.
And let's be clear, there's a reason why X has become their preferred mechanism. Because you can bet Elon Musk, who is a eugenicist, is all too happy to assist. All too happy to assist. And so...
And understand, for people listening, eugenics is not just about euthanizing older people. That's not what that is. No. In case you're mistaken that for euthanasia. No, eugenics is all of that fake science about genes being better and having good blood, DNA, background, bones, brain, all that type of nonsense.
Yeah, selective.
If you ever hear somebody say, "I have a good brain," don't trust them.
Don't. And for that reason,
especially if you have the best brain.
The new verses.
Yeah. Nobody's ever had a better brain than me. My brain is the best. Everybody says it's the best. This is kind of where we are as far as what the status of our country is in terms of Project 2025. But that is not the only thing we have to talk about. We do have some other things to talk about. And the thing I'd like to talk about right now, to kind of put not too fine a point on it, since SCOTUS came up and Chevron deference and everything else, AOC has filed articles of impeachment against two sitting Supreme Court justices, Samuel Alito and Kunis Thomas. Obviously, she's in the House. The House has a very slender majority. The chances of them being
You have to get everybody to agree in their
Yeah.
corners.
no.
It's
Well,
pretty
I mean,
much-
I don't think the Democrats would have a problem with it. You just
Yeah.
have to. I don't see any defections from the GOP to get these two judges impeached, and you're certainly not going to be able to convict and remove them from on the Senate side. So,
Yeah.
but
It's funny you say that, Anthony. Earlier today, Tom said that the SCOTUS is out here looking like the lost season of Scandal.
Yeah.
Like it is what's
and
happening.
or the Pelican Brief. Remember, the premise of the Pelican Brief was two intransigent judges, and a billionaire wanted to protect his oil investments, and so he made arrangements for two justices to be removed. I won't say how because can't do.
What are you
that.
spoiling a 30-year-old movie?
No. I just don't want to use language that can have problems for us.
Oh, okay.
To remove two justices and have a friendly president replace them with someone who would allow his oil futures to be maintained. So we are at this point, and kudos to AOC for two things. One, for representing the youth cohort of the House in supporting Biden and jumping out there, basically because if you were a young person and you're not rocking with AOC, you're tripping.
Yeah.
AOC should be.
She's been that chick for 6 years now.
That chick, and she should be the full manifestation of everything that you aspire to be.
Right, baby girl. That was funny.
Yeah, baby girl. She is all of that. And so with this, by taking this bold step of pushing for impeachment of these judges in the midst of calls for the DOJ to investigate Clarence Thomas for all of his fiscal and financial shenanigans, there's less of a focus on Alito because Alito's a little bit cleaner. Clarence just out here, like, basically selling his ass on the street. Hey, mister,
it's
you got a dime.
It's virtue signaling on the part of AOC and everybody else that signed on, because it's not going to go anywhere. But I think it's just trying to show what the would-be House could do if they did have the numbers for the most part.
Correct.
And I feel like it's a masterful move on her end.
And that's a big part of this question, because you best believe if Trump is able to win, it means we have lost the House. And it means we have lost the Senate majority. And if you think Project 2025 with united Republican leadership isn't a blueprint for the end of this Democratic Republic, you are deluding yourselves. Black people, if you just think it's about your taxes or you just think it's about immigrants, you are fooling yourself.
Or if you think that, I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna be real with the damn black people out here. If you think that they're only doing it to suppress women or the LGBTQ community, you are horribly mistaken. And if you think you're siding with people who hate who you hate, you done fucked up, because you are who they hate.
Correct.
Right?
Well, the gutting of the civil jobs should be just reason alone. I mean, who do you think holds those jobs in spades? Us. That cuts
let's not say spades.
To our account, huh?
Let's not say spades.
Yeah.
But I feel like, I mean, seriously, that cuts directly into what little wealth that we have built, because we've all got cousins, aunties, and uncles who made lives out of having government and state jobs.
Yep. Everybody had an auntie that worked at the post office.
You know what I'm saying?
Everybody
drove a Camry. Didn't quite have a Lexus. Drove a Camry.
She did drive a Camry.
They did. Had
Absolutely.
money alone. Went to California every year to go visit their cousins. You know what I'm saying? They were like the ones that actually made it because they had a stable job that they knew they was going to draw a pension off of once they retired. That way of life is gone as a result of Project 2025.
You know,
so I don't think they've even thought of it in those terms, in that particular lens, if you will.
No.
But you bring up an interesting point, and I'm going to be looking for this as I do what I hope you all won't have to do and stroll through this Project 2025. One of the most blatant pieces of hypocrisy about the use of tax dollars and small government and all this is that these House members, if they serve long enough, they get a lifetime pension and lifetime federal health benefits. If it's all about capitalism and government should be small, why don't you just go back to your defunct Hooters knockoff restaurant oops that you had to close? Or why don't you go back to doing gym memberships or physical training, Bad Body? You know, why don't you just leave it alone once you're out of office? Because that's literally what George Santos was doing. George Santos thought as long as he served one term, it's not one term, George.
Yeah.
That's why you're back on Cameo.
Yeah, he thought he was setting up. Yeah, he thought
he was setting up a free grift for the rest of his life. And if every person who has talked all that smack, if Jim Jordan and Comer and Green, well, Boebert, I don't think is going to make it long enough to qualify. But if all of those people don't just turn over their government checks and just pull themselves up by their bootstraps and just take their, you know, the legitimate jobs that they think they are entitled to after they serve for a couple of years in federal government, then you need to be pilloried for that.
Yeah.
Because you're all full of shit as we approach the 50-minute mark. I'm just saying.
Y'all remember when we used to wonder why Clarence was always the most quiet on the bench, never would offer any kind of opinion? He was just always, out of all the 9 judges, he wouldn't say anything. There'd be no blurb out of him, no quip. You remember that? I think.
Well, I remember what he said about it.
Huh?
I remember what his rationale was. He is ashamed of his Gullah background and the accent.
But that's only part of it. I feel like it's because he's been grifting the entire time. He just didn't want to bring any attention to himself.
Well, it's all out there now.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. You know, if you don't want anybody to pay attention to you, you just silently agree, get your money, and move on. You don't have to be the one to write I don't even know how many majority opinions he's actually written. You know, he's
yeah.
It's fewer than 10.
Yeah, I'm gonna just be over here. I agree with y'all. Let me,
I'm gonna be kicking
from my money.
But the drip keeps coming, because today, what was it about Putin that I was reading on the way on one of my breaks today? He did something with Putin, took a trip to his island or something like that.
Okay, so when he was giving a speech, and his plane and Putin's plane were on the same runway, so close that they could be photographed in a single photo. And the concern was, or the allegation was, not that the mainstream corporate media, you know, actually made a whole lot of hay of it. It takes Jon Stewart and John Oliver to do that. But what they're saying is that this is Putin's plane and this is Trump's plane. And Trump may still have documents that weren't recovered from Mar-a-Lago. And there could be some information exchange or some coordination or whatever. It doesn't look good to have Putin's plane and Trump's plane in close proximity. So that's kind of what the hubbub is about. It remains to be seen whether or not that's going to be amplified in any meaningful way. Unfortunately, President Biden had another mishap where he referred to President Zelensky as President Putin, which certainly didn't help anything. But he did have an hour-long press conference today where he was more energetic. He was very assertive.
A snack. He was better.
But it was better. This is so not fair. I mean, it's like they're dissecting his every fucking molecular structure right now, and it's beginning to piss me off. They're looking for things. I mean, of course, and I saw in the View the other day where they were able to, like, the media splice something that he really didn't even do, but because of the way they edited the particular video, it looked like he came off aloof. It's beginning to be a little bit exaggerated.
Bruh, they ran after Obama for wearing a tan suit.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
honestly, we have been critical of our public figures, particularly the president, since the fall of Nixon. Nixon is the one that first broke American trust in the office of the president. Never mind that Warren G. Harding did some bullshit in the 20s. It wasn't really on TV, but Nixon was on TV, right? And everybody knew it. And ever since then, we've over scrutinized that office. You know, look at how they went after Clinton for what should have been kept behind closed doors. Do I agree with what he did? Absolutely not. Do I think that Monica Lewinsky was a victim? I actually do. And I personally would like to apologize to her for what I believed of her during that era. But they do always look for something. Unfortunately, Biden is giving it to them. You know,
Well, I think it's the whole soap opera thrill ride effect that these Dems are just giving to him right now. Because, before this, they were just focusing all on whatever MAGA world was giving them. And I guess MAGA world kind of got quiet and kind of sour. So now this is their latest, story that they're just trying to fucking fuel and fuel and fuel. And Biden and the rest of the Dems and people that are coming out against Biden are doing nothing but gassing them up. So it's like, they're our answer to what MAGA's doing. Now they have another story that they can pump out there and keep people all on the fucking edges of their C-switch just to get the ratings. I feel like that's exactly what it is. Because if you really dissect the stories, there's really not much merit to them. There's not much teeth to them. It's just keeping people, giving them something to talk about.
But I mean, that is what people are talking about. Like even in my circles, we've had that discussion. Like, who else could they put up? What else?
Where do you land after it's over? Are you saying all of a sudden I'm going to vote for Trump now? You know what I'm saying? Like,
no. Let's be clear. Part of the challenge is that the Democrats don't have as solid and as rigid a coalition as the GOP does.
No.
Message discipline on the GOP is Trump is the way. President Trump won. This is the guy who can take us back. It doesn't matter that he's talking about Hannibal Lecter. It doesn't matter that he's lying. It doesn't matter anything. Trump is our guy. Trump is our guy. And the Democratic coalition is squishy. You've got people who are upset with Biden about Palestine. You got people who are upset about Biden about this, about Biden about that. And now his age being a centerpiece of the media attention gives them another reason to call doubt on it. Here's the bottom line. There was a poll that came out, and it was polling Biden and Harris versus Trump, Biden versus Trump, Harris versus Trump. Mm-hmm. On paper, it seems like it's pretty even going, and we've already seen that Harris is forceful, and Harris can hold her own, and Harris is certainly more facile with facts and numbers and truths than Trump is. Here's the problem. All of those things were also true of Hillary Clinton.
Yep.
And this country wasn't ready to elect a worthy and capable white woman who was the wife of a former president who heralded almost unprecedented prosperity. They didn't want her. And they don't like Kamala the way they don't dislike Kamala as much as they disliked Clinton, but they would find a way. They would find a way. And the problem is that there are people in a better world. Pete Buttigieg, who is a dynamic killer diller guy. He is a great, youthful, competent, articulate speaker, he's a policy wonk. He can articulate positions. He doesn't back down. He's an excellent debater, all of these sorts of things. But because of his husband, he tried. He legit tried and did okay in the Iowa caucus. And then the wheels fell off the train. So we don't have anybody right now who can. People say Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom doesn't appeal to our swing state voters in Michigan and Pennsylvania because he's a West Coast elite. Okay, take him off the board. Beto couldn't do it. Bernie Sanders is just as old and white, and he's Jewish, and he's from New Hampshire, and he's not even a Democrat. Yeah. So you can say all you want. The simple point of fact is that you don't have a scenario where the incumbent has dropped out, except for Johnson, and that was a special set of circumstances because he only got it because his predecessor was assassinated, and he didn't want. He thought he failed in Vietnam and all that. Before the nomination, he said, "I will not serve and I will not accept a nomination." That's not where we are. You've got a sitting president who just said today, "I ain't going nowhere until somebody says I can't win." That's a very forceful statement. And if he does have a stroke or something where you're kind of, I don't want to say stuck with Kamala, but the obvious person is Kamala Harris. And that presents a whole nother problem because if you think Black men are already supporting Trump, they don't like Kamala like that. Oh, she ain't Black. Oh, she married a white man. She's not even a mama. All this other sort of stuff is going to come out. It's not going to fly. You don't have it. And look, I have said it. This may sound macabre. If Joe can cross so help me God, we're good. All
Right.
I need is so help me God on January 20th.
I need him to make it to February 1st.
I need January 21st. I don't even need February 1st. I need January 21st.
Not even like past November the 5th or 4th, whenever the election is.
No. He's got to be inaugurated.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, he's got to be inaugurated. I don't want any confusion of, oh, he died. Well, he was just president-elect, and that means that it goes back to the House. And no, F that. Inaugurated. Go pull a Dave as soon as inauguration is over, because then Kamala is unabashedly in control, and that's not a problem. And Project 2025 is at least forestalled for another 4 years. And like I say, if Biden wins, if the Democratic ticket wins, I think it's more likely than not that we will flip the House, which gives me my sans, Hakeem Jeffries, as third in line to the presidency. And we probably will narrowly hold on to the Senate. If Biden wins and we get the House, we will probably hold the Senate. And if we don't hold the Senate, that would be problematic for the issue of these judicial appointments. Because if Biden is reelected, I don't think Alito and Thomas will step down. If Trump is elected, they will step down because he will appoint their replacements. He'll appoint Coney Barrett Part 2 and Kavanaugh Part 2, some 40-year-old people who are going to be on the bench for
Eileen Cannon,
and it'll be done. Oh well, no, Eileen Cannon, no.
Somebody out the Fifth Circuit is who they're going to pick. That's like their training ground for the Supreme Court.
Well, Eileen Cannon can't be confirmed. She won't be confirmed.
Do you see this story of his mental acuity like dying down anytime soon, or are we going to be stuck with it until election? Because I kind of feel like the temperature of all this is going to come down once the Olympics are on the air. I feel like it's going to bring everything down, and we're going to have a chance to like reset. Or do you see it just being this high fever pitch until the election?
I don't know about high fever pitch. I think that
because this is a long time. This is like 2 weeks now.
Well, but it's
going to continue.
It's going to continue.
Keep messing up.
I think if he and Jonathan Capehart's auntie said it best. He shouldn't be out there on the campaign trail 24/7.
No.
Stay your ass home and do your damn job. Send out your surrogates. You've got some really great House of Representative people who are carrying a lot of water for him. Do some prepared speeches. Sound fire in your prepared speeches.
Yeah.
Send Kamala out there. Get people. John Fetterman even did a passable job on defending him, and he's got his own mental challenges. So I think it's a matter of every time he does make a flub, and he's going to make flubs, it's going to raise the temperature again. There's a lot
he made flubs when he was vice president.
Yeah,
correct.
It's funny you have that take though, Tom, because a lot of people say, had he been out there a lot more and people got a chance to just get somewhat familiar with his deficiencies, if you will, it wouldn't have come across as heavy as it did the night of the debate.
No, bullshit.
It's interesting that you say that. No, I've actually heard pundits say that before.
No, but that's bullshit. It was a horrible debate performance. It was horrible. And it doesn't matter that a crowd in Wisconsin, again, you look at the day after the debate and you listen to that crowd
in North
was
Carolina,
more raucous.
Yeah.
They were supporting Joe much more intensely than the comparative event that Trump had that same day.
Yeah.
But when you are that bad, you know how many times Carl Lewis was asked to sing the national anthem after he messed it up as badly as he did? Never again.
Yeah.
It was a huge stage, and he was bad. He was bad. I'm not saying it's indicative of his overall capability, but that performance was bad. Not bad enough for me to say, I think we need to get somebody else. Let's be clear. I'm still supporting Biden. But it was bad. And that footage is there now. And
it's
so
just sad that we were comparing that to being so bad, but the other guy was just doing nothing but lying.
Oh, no, I've said that
too. Him don't care that he lies.
We live in. It's just
interesting.
But all politicians.
John Stewart had a piece on this. This is where I pulled that picture from, the same show. But he talked about this. He said the difference between Biden and Trump in that debate is that Biden did not meet everyone's expectations of what they wanted in a president, but Trump absolutely met the expectations of the people that are planning to vote for him. He gave them exactly what they wanted to see. And they don't care about the lies because they've been riding on the lies this whole time. He
Yeah.
sounded strong. He made fun of Joe. He got angry. He said some things, and they just wanted him to just be there and be a jerk because that's who they're voting for. But we were looking for somebody strong enough to take us through the next 4 years, and we didn't get that. That's why a lot of people are saying that Trump actually won that debate, not because he told the truth, not because he said anything of
On
substance,
style.
but because on style. His people liked his style.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
And we've been doing this since we were in middle school. Every election is a popularity contest. It has never changed.
Nope.
And we've all heard it. I just like the way he talks. I like the way he comes across. That's what.
If you think that Clinton didn't pick up more black vote for going to our Arsenio Hall show and playing the
saxophone, yeah,
we all remember that. And all of a sudden, he was cool. And he got in on that. Warren G. Harding, even though I brought him up a while ago, matter of fact, he was the precursor to the next couple of presidents having to deal with what eventually became the Great Depression, because he was a jerk. But he was tall. He was the beauty standard for men of the day. And he was the first president elected when women could vote. And they voted for the cute one.
Yeah.
And sent us into the Depression. Not that I think women shouldn't vote, but if Project 2025 comes in here,
you won't be able to. Yeah, you'll be. It's a wrap. So bear all of that into mind, people. I think we have. Let me just see what else. Oh, I do want to mention this because it's a ray of sunshine in the immediate aftermath of SCOTUS. So we had the SCOTUS decision, and basically what ended up happening is that in the wake of granting him almost perfect presidential immunity, certainly for all official acts, and then presumptive immunity on things that he does within, the upside is that now it has been returned back to Chutkan, and Chutkan has to answer the questions. What things are official acts, and so therefore are absolutely covered? What things are within, the potential presumption of immunity, blah, blah, blah. So these things have to be litigated. And it's not the same as the trial starting, because it's just her going through the motions of making the determination. But Jack Smith wants to present certain evidence, and having that evidence in the public record, even though it's not the official trial, is good information for it to be out there. Now, Eileen Cannon is all but ready to attempt to rule that, owing to the ruling by the Supreme Court and Clarence Thomas's explicit instructions, wink, wink, nod, nod, to her about the potentially illegal appointment of Jack Smith, that argument is not going anywhere. If she tries to lean onto that argument. And the good news about the Mar-a-Lago case is that even though he packed up the documents as a president, him holding the documents and obstructing the acquisition of the documents all happened while he was not president, and those crimes would not fall under the Supreme Court's cover of blanket immunity anyway. So the real trick is he's got to be defeated, because if he comes into office, he will instruct the Justice Department to stop its investigation.
Yeah, just squash it all together. But I actually wonder about the volume of that hearing going on in the fall if we get to it. Like, how much will it even matter? Because mind you, right now, the Epstein documents, their files, they've been released. We can see what his association with Epstein in the past, what he's done, how bad those allegations are, how true they are now, and no one's really paying attention to it. The media isn't really covering it. So I kind of wonder how much that would even affect him if they should go forward with the hearing.
But there is space for it. Again,
there's space, but who's listening is what I'm saying.
But you've gotta let it play in, just like nobody was listening about Project 2025 until the right person brought it to the forefront. The right people have not brought up the Epstein stuff, and because Donald Jr. introduced the absence of Epstein information against his father on his little runaway tour, what you're going to see is the balancing of those clips. Why isn't my father's name come up in Epstein? Here are the 17 entries in the flight log. Here are the documented trips. Here are the photographs. Here is everything else. So best believe the Lincoln Project. There are other forces outside.
All right.
And they are
I
going
just
to
thought
use
it would have made a bigger
whatever.
splash on day one because that shit is.
Yeah, but it
wild.
wasn't going to make a big splash on day one because of the debate in Biden. Biden is
Of
the
a
sitting
13-year-old
president, and
girl raping?
his competency is in question, and nobody has said that Trump has raped a minor girl. They said that he rode on that plane. It's not the same. You're talking about the guy with the nuclear codes maybe not being able to hold office versus allegations from 25 years ago. It's not the same.
I also want to point out that a not insignificant number of states still allow for the marriage of a 12 or 13-year-old girl. So the care that the United States writ large actually shows to a female child that has been raped is very small.
Yep.
They don't care.
Nope.
And I say this as a woman, that what I see. Remember I told y'all I was tired? This is part of it. They don't care about her. They don't care about none of that. They will sit there and argue that a teenager cannot vote, cannot drive a car, cannot drink, but then say that you can marry and impregnate a 13-year-old girl and that girl should then be forced to give birth to whatever children are forced upon her, but she can't vote. She can't make no decisions.
She has to bear her own daughter niece.
Right.
I get it, but I get it. Leave it at that.
It's
all right.
Nothing can stick. He's Teflon. Nothing will stick.
No, but that's, you know why it's not true? Because he got convicted of 34 counts.
Right. And it's not about this not sticking to him. It's about nobody throwing it because it's not a story to a lot of people. That's what I mean.
$100 million to a woman he sexually assaulted, and that is sticking.
Yeah.
He's not Teflon Don anymore.
Yeah.
The only way he's been able to avoid the Mar-a-Lago thing is that he has a complicit judge who should be removed from office. That's the only reason. So he's not bulletproof. There's plenty of stuff out there. But when you have a team of lawyers and when you have a person you appointed to office slow walking every aspect of your case, it does make it challenging. And again, when you can argue in the corporate media, all of the CEOs of these media conglomerates, even if they're supposedly the CEO of MSNBC is a Trump donor.
Yeah.
The CEO of MSNBC, the network who is most aligned with being critical of him, their CEO is a Trump donor. There isn't any major media outlet in this country that is not run by a 1%er who is donating to Trump because of their taxes. So it's going to take the concerted effort of people individually pursuing, amplifying, and growing. And you can't do it on Twitter because Elon Musk is probably going to algorithm you into oblivion. So you've got to take advantage of whatever mechanisms you have and reach young voters, especially TikTok, Instagram.
And I'm going to tell you now, the algorithm is a lie. I don't know what they've done or what they've changed because my tastes have not changed. I am a registered Democrat. I am a member of several organizations who all skew liberal. All I watch on YouTube is Stray Kids videos, a K-pop group that I adore. And yet,
what are you getting on your algorithm?
My algorithm is bringing me Trump ads now. My phone blows up with, "Won't you help us make America great again?" And I don't know why, because I haven't been around any Trump supporters either.
Have you Googled anything at all regarding, like, in a couple of days in a row? Have you Googled anything a couple of days in a row that would, like, set it off that way?
Nope.
Because even by the off chance, I'll Google, like, ankle socks, and I'll get nothing but ankle socks for the next 2.5 weeks.
I am not looking for Trump at all. I haven't even, matter of fact, I try to stay out of politics until like Wednesday, Thursday, when we got to come in here.
Get ready,
But even like pulling a lot of the assets that we use, like I would expect that this would be on your feed, Tom, more than mine. But I get routinely things about Trump is the only one that can save America.
Now I do a lot more searching for Trump stuff, but for whatever reason, I have never been attached to a Trump mailing list.
Yeah, I haven't either.
If your name was attached to a Trump mailing list, just because you wanted to hate troll or whatever, that may be putting an outsized measure onto how they are calculating you.
Now, it may be because I remember once upon a time when I was playing around with them, I would get a lot of text messages asking, "Won't you donate?" And I would be writing back little ugly things to them, like "You must be out your mind," and blah blah blah. That was a year ago, but it's still it's possible that they are pulling out all the stops, and anybody that has ever shown any interest is now part of their algorithm.
Yeah, and Chan makes a good point. Ad dollars trump everything.
Yep.
So
they all their money at it.
The campaign is they would rather, especially since Biden's team wisely bought up a lot of pre-ad avails because they were flush with cash. He's pushing it across the network that he knows he can get the greatest amount of get back on it. So it's not
that meager $20 I put into the campaign 2 weeks ago, I'm still seeing nothing but Biden Harris stuff, and I'm like, God, dog, why did I do that? So no, I get it.
So
that's another thing. There are some rich people that are liberal in their leanings, and I really want them to stop asking me and go ask Bill Gates for some money. Like, why are you talking?
No.
Yeah, Mackenzie Scott, hello.
I only have a 20 spot every other week to give y'all. Quit asking me for
Quit asking me. Yeah.
I know it.
Yeah,
because I'm not giving any more than that, to be honest with you.
Y'all, he called Kamala Harris Vice President Trump. Jesus. Okay.
Wait, what? He just did that just now?
In the press conference. In today's press conference.
I feel like those things don't really make a difference. I just don't. I feel like those are the more dissecting things that just kind of make the media seem like they're just trying to find the next gotcha moment just to keep that story going. Because he has always done things like that, even way before this, you know?
Yeah, that's what I said earlier. But my point is, stop doing it. Just go sit down. Go sit down and be like, look, I got work to do.
He's going to. And we had made peace with the fact that he flubs. We did. But that debate just all of a sudden accelerated this. And now we just can't get it out of our minds.
You make it seem as if he's the first person to be picked on like this, and he's not.
Because I feel like there is a picking going, and I feel like they found
who hasn't been picked on.
To keep going.
Jermaine, you know? you're ignoring a major.
Hang on.
What am I ignoring?
They're picking on his age. The way they picked on Obama's name, the way they picked on Bill Clinton's brother, the way they picked on what's
Hillary's
his name?
Pantsuits.
And his pantsuits, and Hillary Clinton's pantsuits, and how she was a nasty woman. They pick on everybody, and they pick them apart. As I said earlier, ever since Nixon, they have picked apart every candidate. We have thrown away some really good candidates off of one line, one day, and one seminar. Remember that? What was it? His name wasn't McCain.
No, it was Dean.
Dean Cain.
Oh, her.
Yeah. And that was it. He was on his way. He's like, we're gonna go here, and we're gonna go there, and we're gonna take the White House. And that one syllable knocked him out of the race.
Soured before then, wasn't he?
No. He was doing great until that one syllable.
Until that one, he was giving a victory speech. That's how great he was doing.
Front page of the news, guys. I remember that freak.
Yeah, but that's what I mean about us picking things apart.
This is what you're ignoring.
Get back to you, Tom.
It wasn't just the flubs. It was the flubs, and that he sounded like he had tuberculosis, and he was slow, and he was coughing, and he needed water. It's not just the flubs. It's that he looked like he was incapacitated. It's flubs is different. You had Gerald Ford, who was tripping and misspeaking. You had George W. Bush, who was always making
some of them all the time. You can't fool all of that.
You can't be fooled again. It's not that. It was flubs plus vitality, plus he had a cold, plus he could barely breathe. He looked raggedy. He looked raggedy as hell. And it was an hour and a half of him looking raggedy as hell. And that's not something you can just pass off. A single flub is one thing. An hour and a half of him looking like he was knocking at death's door, even when it's countermanded by something the next day where he looked like he was very vital. You can't discount the impact of that.
So we need to fucking jump on top of his people for putting him out there like that.
Well, but he was the one pushing for the debate. Meet me anytime, anywhere, Trump. I got you. We'll do 2 debates, and this one's going to be here, and this one's going to be there. And
like people try to say, like, oh, he was jet lagged. He had been home for like a week and a half.
Yeah, I knew that was going to get.
Yeah, because he was prepping at Camp David. So
right. And the thing is, like, when we were watching the debate live on this show when it
I'm glad I
happened.
wasn't watching with y'all, because y'all would have sent my ass to a damn padded room. Because right now I'm like, wow. But I get it.
So we were looking at him, and like I said earlier, we watched the moment that he lost everybody, because we were riding with him like, okay, if you're upset, you can flub some words. If you are trying to go back and forth with Trump, you can miss a couple of things and maybe stutter or something like that. But when he had his closing, and this is the thing that you've waited and prepared for, and you have your notes, and you can't read your own notes, and you forgot where you were going in the moment that you had the screen big all by yourself, that is beyond a flub. That is a fail. And it's not about and the other thing too, and again, I'm still going to vote for him. But that's the other thing that I do like about the Democratic Party. We can clown your ass and still be like, I'm going to vote for you because this is what I need, again, for the stay of execution. But you did mess up. And so to feel like, oh, we're picking on him, we're not picking on him. Well, not anymore than we picked on anybody else.
Right.
Right. I don't think it's, I think it's impacting us worse because we understand that the opposition is an existential threat to our democracy. And that has not been the case, even when, especially when he was running against, when Obama was running against John McCain, or even Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney is a technocrat, but nobody thought the country was going to end if Mitt Romney ended up becoming president.
No.
This is an entirely different thing. The stakes are so high. And so you want your guy to be up to the challenge. And he did not look like he was. And he's had some good days. He's had some less good days. It doesn't change the fact that that's who I'm supporting. It doesn't change the fact that I don't believe that there is another viable option. I think this overblown talk and this hand wringing, just stop. What are you going to do? You going to step in, Nancy Pelosi? Stop it. Just shut up. Go deal with your constituents. Get the House majority back. Leave Biden alone and let us move forward. Let us get his campaign events. Let's get some good tape. Let's get the wheels rolling again. Let's get
Howard Dean. Thank you, because Dean Cain is one of the
Howard. Yeah, I said John Dean. It was Howard Dean.
Yeah, Howard Dean. Yeah,
Dean is in there somewhere.
Dean was in there somewhere. Exactly.
That's why you always go with the last name on Jeopardy and everything else. I
think a good strategy that might work for the Democrats is to stop focusing on Biden. Like we mentioned this on the show earlier. Stop focusing on Biden as an individual and start focusing on the Democratic machine. Now, that's a hit or miss, because a lot of people don't like the way the Democrats do stuff anyway. But if you pitch it as again, that stay of execution, that maintaining democracy, it's a fight for the administration that is going to at least listen. And this is what I've had this argument, which is why I'm tired. I've had this argument with college educated Black folks with master's degrees that are saying that they're going to sit it out because they don't believe in Biden. And I'm like, I don't care if you don't believe in Biden. Do you believe in what his administration and the leaning of the people that are supporting him are trying to do? If you want that, because the opposite is Project 2025. So if you want to vote not Project 2025, it has to be a vote for Biden. And even if he doesn't make it past January 29th or 22nd or whatever, then you got Kamala right there, and you got Hakeem coming behind her. Honestly, it's probably the closest we're going to get to another Black president in a long time, is if something like that happens. But I do not want to wish ill on him. But I do want him to, I want the Democratic Party as a whole to just say, look, we understand that this is not the best. I want them to address the lack of pipeline, the lack of talent bench that they have. They don't have anybody that can hold their own right now. Like you said, but Buttigieg was a good option, but the America wasn't there yet. They might be there in 2028, but we won't get to 2028 if we don't first get through 2024.
And they would be less newsworthy, because you have a white man running against a Black man. They wouldn't want to highlight that against Biden. I feel like they'd be less newsworthy, of course. Yeah, because you'd have racism in play. They would dial back, Biden's, impediments because of him running against a Black man. So yeah, I feel like it would be less newsworthy, to be honest with you.
I mean, it's a tough. Chan offered a tough,
too many variables
positive, because Biden would never have run against Obama.
But he said if he was a Republican.
I understand. Okay, I'm just saying. But Biden as a Republican, at the time that Biden was a nominee for president, he couldn't have been the standard bearer for the Republican Party.
Yeah.
I mean, he wouldn't be Biden. You might as well say, did they play up John McCain's flubs in as much as he didn't really have? But John McCain had some physical infirmities that they did not highlight, particularly when he was running against Obama. I just don't think that the
But
Biden person
we have picked apart Trump's infirmities. And when Trump had COVID, everybody's like, "Oh, is he even alive?" When Trump had that cognition test that he didn't even realize was they talked about that for weeks. You know, so
but the fact that it was balanced because his counter audience almost drowned us out sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Like when we would highlight Trump's like impediments, the people that were behind him and that were for him, they would almost drown us out sometimes. So I felt like it was somewhat of a balance.
Well, I mean, again,
it depends on who you're listening to, because like you just said, there people would try to drown us out if we talked about Trump's impediments, but we don't generally listen to their people. So when you hear your own people talking about Biden's impediments, it sounds amplified because you're hearing it from your own folks.
So much,
and my point is, it's not amplified; it's your perception of it because you're on this side,
right? And let's try not to talk over each other as much. I would just like to say that. In addition to talking about the Democratic agenda, I think the Democrats could take a page out of the playbook of a congressperson who went on Fox News, and every time the commentator tried to talk about Biden's age, he flipped it on how unpopular Trump is, what a disaster Trump would be for the country. So it wasn't even about Biden. It was just about, you can't possibly vote for Trump. And he said, well, do you think Kamala Harris could beat Trump? He said, I think anybody could beat Trump because Trump is historically unpopular. He lost the last election. He's outlining a pogrom of any person who does not agree with his twisted policies. And so every single time, the guy could barely get a breath. He actually sighed off camera because this guy was sticking to his guns so hard. And so that's the playbook. Project 2025. Trump is a disaster. You're giving up your country. He never wants to leave. He still thinks he won in 2020. You've got to highlight the real problems with Trump that don't have anything to do with whether or not he is hoarse.
Yeah.
Trump's real infirmity is the fact that he is a brain dead, sociopathic, pathological liar, and a narcissist. All of those things are worse than a hoarse voice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I am on it. The strategy is talk about my guy, look at your guy. Fuck this guy. He is a convicted felon, 34 felons, and adjudicated to have sexually assaulted a woman. And he's in Epstein's books. And you're talking about a cough. You've got to reduce his challenges and amplify his negatives. And that's what's going to be able to get us past all of this.
Mm-hmm. And that has to be the message going forward. And what gets me though is that we can sit here and say this, and none of us are, Mensa. I mean, I was a Mensa for a minute, but none of us are Mensa level geniuses or anything. But I'm looking at our Democratic leaders fuck this up. Like, this really was their election to lose, and they are managing to lose it. And that is so disappointing to me.
Yeah. Can I just highlight your word choice, Tom? You said pogrom. I was so impressed.
Oh my God. I like to use words that actually articulate my exact meaning.
Talk about Mensa. Are you sure you're not still Mensa status? Wow. Look at you using your $18 words.
Yeah, well, I have never. I mean, I did have a 700 on my. My SAT. It was a 1400 combined score. So
my SAT is higher than my ACT.
So I think the takeaway for today's episode, as we are now approaching an hour and a half, is that we all have work to do, and the work we have to do is not about electing Biden. It's about saving our country.
Mm-hmm. Survival. We have got to try to make sure that we have a country after January 21st. And I feel like that's going to put us over the finish line. I really do. I feel like that's
they have told us what they are going to do.
Yeah.
They have told us what they are going to do. So we now know. You can't say that you didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's our job to amplify what they are going to do and make sure that we defeat them again. Don't pretend it's impossible. We beat them last time. We can beat them this time. Last time he wasn't a convicted felon. Last time he was not adjudicated to have sexually assaulted a woman. Last time he didn't have 2 other federal cases, one of which is so rock solid that he desperately needs this, or else he will go to jail.
Yeah.
That's what's on the line for him. Joe Biden's just going to go to Delaware with his lovely wife and that dog that's apparently a demon. That's all Joe.
What?
If he's not dead.
His dog be biting people. It's a problem. The dog. But Trump is facing jail.
Yeah.
Trump is already, as a felon, he has lost his liquor license at some of his clubs.
Yeah.
Because as a felon, you can't have a liquor license.
And he can't travel to certain countries.
He can't travel to certain countries. This is a real problem for him in the way that it is not for Biden, except that Biden loves his country. Yeah. So the fact that Biden loves his country is a comfort, but we need to understand the way forward is to make sure everybody, especially Black people, all your cousins, uncles, aunties, funkles, everybody.
Here's the talking points. Here's the talking points for you. And we still got a few people viewing us right now. We might want to cut this as a clip at the 1:30 mark. Here's the talking points for you to go talk to your Black friends who are ambivalent or who have gone over to the side of voting for Trump. First of all, Trump is not going to improve your life or the life of the people that you care about. Secondly, Trump is going to, even if it's unintentional, he is going to allow Project 2025 to go forward because he won't really be paying attention. And so you're not only voting for him, you're voting for Project 2025 to be fully implemented, which means you lose all the other stuff. And if you're my age or anywhere close to it, or you got parents, all the social safety nets are going to be
they're
gone.
going to have to be greeters at Walmart because they're not going to
exactly, and that's not going to pay because Walmart don't be paying people.
Yeah.
The other talking point is even if you think, even if you don't like what Biden has done with the situation in Gaza, and I completely understand that, if you don't like what he's done with infrastructure or hasn't done enough, because most presidents feel like we feel like they haven't done enough. In spite of all of that, the Biden administration will at least listen to your grievances. What we tend to do, again, once we vote for our king, is walk away and hope that he handles everything. So go ahead and vote for the person that is more likely to listen, and then raise hell in March of 2025, right? Where are my promises? Do that then instead of waiting until 2027 to start worrying about who's going to run in 2028. Yeah. Get on his case now. That's what I think we need to start doing, because we always wait until we want to hold our vote hostage in the presidential election when we need to be worried about what's happening every month.
Yeah. And I would also add to that list, Joy, you're not going to get another stimulus check.
I didn't get some of the first ones, so.
He's saying that all these Black people like, well, Trump gave me a check, sexy red.
Yeah, you're not going to get
I saw that bullshit. First of all, we need to really be, because Sexy Red, and there's a couple other rappers that are like, I'm voting for Trump because.
We got money. I'm like, yo, do you know where that money really came from? Do you really, really know civics? But
right.
Because he put his name on that check, they think Trump gave him money. Mm-hmm. So I would also add, you're not going to get another stimulus check to your list.
You're not getting, you won't even get a welfare check or a Social Security check. You're getting nothing.
And some of y'all rappers who thought it was cute to try to scam on the PPP loans got jailed. So let's
won't
be
be
clear
happening
about
at all
that.
either.
Yeah.
Let's be clear about that.
The next pandemic, you'll die. You'll just die.
Yeah.
I think we have come to the end of this show. I want to thank everybody for joining us. Thank you for sticking with us, all of the diehards. I will say,
Anthony with us to the very end.
Thank you. F Project 2025 and go Biden 2025. I'm Tom Cunningham.
I'm Joy Stevens.
And I am the elated Jermaine Taylor. Thank you so very much for letting me jump. That guy is still jumping.
And this is still sharpens steel. All right, everybody, we will see you again.
Yeah.